You're in the middle of a conversation and it happens. Your mind empties completely. Someone asks you something simple and you just stare. Words gone, thoughts gone. And the silence stretches 2 seconds too long and you can see them noticing, and suddenly you're not thinking about what to say anymore. You're thinking about the fact that you can't think of what to say. And it gets worse. You know that person. Same social situations as you, same pressure, but they're never caught off guard. They respond fluidly. They hold the room without effort. They never seem to freeze. Meanwhile, you've been chalking yours up to anxiety, introversion, maybe just not being a people person, and you've accepted it. Like it's wiring you were born with and can't change. Here's what nobody tells you. Going blank in conversations has nothing to do with intelligence, nothing to do with personality. It's a specific, trainable cognitive pattern, and the people who never freeze aren't smarter or more confident than you. They're running a different system. In the next minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why your mind goes blank, what's actually happening in your brain when it does, and the precise shift that makes it stop. Let's get into it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your mind doesn't go blank because you have nothing to say. It goes blank because you're trying to say the right thing. And that one word right is the entire problem. The moment a conversation starts, most people activate an invisible internal filter. Is this interesting enough? Will this make me sound smart? Are they judging me right now? And that filter consumes the exact cognitive bandwidth you need to actually think. You're not freezing because your mind is empty. You're freezing because it's too full of evaluation, of self-monitoring, of performing instead of connecting. Stanford researchers studying social cognition found that self-monitoring during conversation reduces available working memory by up to 40%. 40%. That's not a minor tax. That's nearly half your processing power redirected away from the conversation and toward the audience in your own head. You're not present. You're narrating yourself, and you can't think clearly and critique yourself simultaneously. Nobody can. Picture this. You're at a dinner with people you barely know. Someone just told a story about a trip to Portugal, something about getting lost in Lisbon at 2 a.m. And instead of thinking about what to say next, you notice one detail. They smiled when they said lost. So you ask, did you actually want to be lost? And suddenly you're not performing. You're not filtering. You're just talking. That's not a fantasy. That's the system working. And I'm about to show you exactly how it works. Here's the deeper problem. You've been told the solution is confidence. Just be more confident. Speak up more. Put yourself out there, as if confidence is a switch you flip and suddenly words flow. But confidence isn't the cause of fluency. It's the result of it. The people who seem effortlessly articulate aren't confident and therefore fluid. They're fluid and therefore confident. They solved the mechanical problem first and the feeling followed. You've been trying to fix a symptom while the actual mechanism stays broken. MIT researchers studying conversational fluency tracked 2 groups of people with identical self-reported social anxiety. The first group focused on their responses, what to say, how to phrase it, whether it landed well. The second group focused entirely outward on the other person's words, expressions, the specific details of what was being said. 1 year later, the second group reported significantly lower freeze frequency, higher conversation satisfaction, and were rated as more engaging by the people they spoke with. The difference wasn't skill. It was direction of attention. Where your focus goes, your fluency follows. Here's someone who understood this completely. Robin Williams, the most spontaneously articulate person most people had ever watched. Never blank, never stuck. Always with something sharper and more surprising than anyone expected. Watch any interview he ever did not. His stand-up. His interviews. There's a moment with James Lipton on Inside the Actors Studio where Lipton mentions his mother. Williams doesn't go for the joke. He pauses, leans forward, asks a question that makes Lipton, the interviewer, stop and think. In that moment, Williams isn't performing. He's present. His attention is so fully outward that his mind has no bandwidth left for self-monitoring. The responses came because nothing was blocking them. The point isn't comedy. The point is that fluency is what's left when self-consciousness leaves the room. When you fix this, 3 things happen. First, the freezing drops faster than you expect because you've removed the mechanism that caused it in the first place. Second, you become a better conversationalist than you ever were, even before the freezing started. Because the skill you build to fix this is presence, and presence is exactly what makes people magnetic. Third, your anxiety in social situations drops. Not because you worked on anxiety directly, but because the freezing was feeding it. Remove the freeze, you remove the evidence your brain was using to conclude that you're bad at this. Quick question. Think about the last time you were in a conversation and completely forgot to be nervous. Maybe you were genuinely absorbed in a story someone was telling. Maybe the topic grabbed you. Notice what happened to your fluency in those moments. You didn't go blank once. You didn't scramble for words. You just talked. That wasn't luck. Now, here's what nobody wants to admit, and it's the part that actually changes things. Going blank isn't something that happens to you. It's something you do. Unconsciously, automatically, but you do it. And every time it happens, your brain quietly files away a conclusion. Speaking is dangerous. Not dramatically, not consciously. Just a small update to the internal record. This situation wasn't safe, be more careful next time. Which makes the filter stronger, which makes the freeze more likely, which confirms the conclusion. You're not dealing with a habit, you're dealing with a loop, and the loop tightens every time you walk away from a frozen moment without understanding what actually caused it. The moment you enter a social situation and your focus shifts from them to you, the freeze becomes inevitable. Every time, without exception. You can't perform and connect at the same time. The stage and the room are different places, and until you choose the room, your mind will keep going blank in it. Here's the framework. 3 moves, in order. Move 1, anchor to detail. The moment you feel the blankness starting, stop trying to think of something to say and instead find one specific detail in what they just said. 1 word, 1 image, one thing that's actually interesting to you. Not a topic to respond to, a detail to be curious about. You said things have been weird at work. What kind of weird? You're not performing interest. You're following it. And your brain, given something real to focus on, stops freezing immediately. Move 2, replace the filter. Every time you catch yourself asking, is this interesting enough? Replace it with one question. What do I actually think about this? Not what should I say? What do I actually think? That shift moves you from performance mode to presence mode. And presence mode has no freeze. Your real reaction, even if it's just that's strange or I didn't know that, is infinitely more engaging than the polished response you were trying to construct. Move 3, use the pause. The silence you are afraid of is not the problem you think it is. Research on conversational pauses found that a 2 to 3 second pause before responding is rated as thoughtful, not awkward by the other person. The awkwardness is almost entirely in your head. When you stop treating the pause as a failure and start using it to actually find what you want to say, the blank stops being blank. It becomes a moment. And moments are what people remember. And here's what you need to hear before you leave. If you finish this video and the next time your mind goes blank, you still spiral into self-criticism, you're not struggling with conversation. You're struggling with permission. Permission to be imperfect in front of another person. Permission to say something unremarkable. Permission to pause without explaining the pause. The people who never freeze haven't solved a social problem. They've given themselves permission to be human in public. That's the whole thing. That's all it ever was. Most people will hear that and still try to think of better things to say next time. If you're serious, you'll try to think of better questions to ask instead. Here's what it comes down to. Your mind goes blank because your attention is in the wrong place. Move it outward to the detail, to the person, to what you actually think, and the mechanism that causes the freeze dissolves. Anchor to detail. Replace the filter. Use the pause. And give yourself permission to be unremarkable sometimes, because the people who are trying to be remarkable are the ones going blank. Don't tell anyone you're working on this. Just try one thing in the next conversation you have. When you feel the blankness starting, find one specific detail in what they just said and get curious about it. Just that.